Is the South Central Alaska area being impacted by the cost of inflation? Are we seeing increasing prices for living up here in Alaska? My name is Jamin Goecker. I'm a realtor in South Central Alaska, and my mission is to help you to build an intentional and significant legacy for yourself and your family. And today I am very fortunate to be joined by Laruen Hamm with This Alaska Life YouTube channel. She does a lot of work talking about shopping and what it's like actually living up here in kind of the South Central Alaska. So I thought she'd be a great person to bring on and talk about what's going on as far as the potential increased prices for going to the grocery store, and I'll be talking about housing. So yeah, you can say hi.
Hi guys, thanks for having me.
So we'll jump into all of that in just a minute. Before we get started though, you know what to do. Give this video a like, you subscribe, and let's go and get into it.
Like you said, my name is Laruen, and I am a mom and a wife. I have 4 boys up here in Alaska. So when it comes to going to the grocery store, we shop a lot. My preference is shopping at Costco because I can get it all at one time. I share that on my YouTube channel almost every week, what we buy at Costco. And then I have a follow-up video that I do that shows how we cook with it. So it's kind of fun because people are always like, what do you do with all that stuff you buy? We are a little bit of a unique family because we do not buy any of our protein at the grocery store. We are a hunting family, so we get moose, bear, caribou, all that is in our freezer. So I take my Costco groceries and then I combine it with all that protein, including fish, salmon, and halibut, and then I cook it. So
how many pounds of meat do you guys get from hunting?
a crazy amount.
Okay.
A huge, like one of those gigantic chest freezers full, plus the biggest stand-up freezer that you can get, completely full by the end of the fall.
Gotcha. Okay, got it. So we're not talking like a full cooler or something like that. Okay.
No, like all of our protein. I will buy a Costco chicken maybe once a month, but other than that, all of our protein. I think it's probably good to say as well that we eat at home 99% of the time, so we are not eating out. So what I buy at Costco and then that protein in the freezer gets used every single day. So I go Costco shopping once a week, and like I said, I film it, and so I've been able to go back and look at prices compared from year to year. I went back and looked at 2020, 2021, and now my shopping in 2022. And what I saw was across the board, things have gone up a little bit. I think you found that as well when you looked back at your prices. Where I've seen really big increases is in anything dairy. So milk, butter, cheese have all gone up dramatically. It also seems even more because in 2021 there was a dip in the price of those things. Like milk went down to $7 for 2 gallons, and now it's up above $8 for 2 gallons. Now it is good to be said that if you are willing to shop at more places than just Costco, you can still get deals on those type of things. Like right now at Fred Meyer, which is our local Kroger store, you can get milk for $2.80 a gallon, which you will never get that at Costco. Costco never puts their milk on sale. So if you're willing to shop around, there are still deals to be had. But for my family and the time that I have, Costco is where I buy 90% of my groceries. Thankfully, the prices of fruits and vegetables have stayed really consistent. My rule of thumb in Alaska is under $2 a pound for any fruit, I will grab it. I can't do that for vegetables. It doesn't work. They're more expensive than that. But I did notice that the price of like broccoli stayed the same. The price of cabbage stayed the same. So those things did not increase too much. Now, with that being said, there have been items that we have not been able to find. So even though the prices have stayed the same, there are weeks where I cannot find broccoli, or the lettuce is out, or the certain areas of the freezer section are just gone. So you do have to keep that in mind, that sometimes what you have on your list you might not be able to find at one store, and sometimes when you go to multiple stores you still can't find it.
How many items would you say that you go in there and you just can't find what you're looking for? Is that something that's pretty common, or is that going to be like maybe a couple items each shopping trip?
A couple items each shopping trip, and this is more of a recent thing with COVID, with shipping delays. So one week I went in and there were absolutely no apples at the store, which I usually buy 2 things of apples. There went through and everything in like the potato section of the store was gone. I went into Walmart one day and the entire section of lettuce and salads and things were not there. So it varies. And some weeks you'll see that there's, at Costco, everything's usually pretty stacked up. And then some weeks they're just really tiny stacks. So you know that they're waiting for a shipment that should have come in but hasn't yet.
Right. Okay. So we've talked a little bit about dairy, how that's really been the area or kind of the category that's seen the most jump. Are there any other categories when you're going to the grocery store where you've seen a pretty sizable increase?
The other one that was noticeable was bread. I like Dave's Killer bread for myself, and it went from $8 to $10 for the 2-pack. Also, just the regular bread I buy for my kids went up by over $1, which when you're buying so much, it really starts to add up, especially because I go grocery shopping once a week and spend $300 to $500. It goes up when you're buying that many things, even if everything's just 50 cents, $1.
Right. Okay. Well, that makes total sense. So for people who are watching wherever they're at right now, so with your family and all the mouths you guys are feeding, how much of a difference is it from what you would pay for a grocery trip? Let's say buying the same groceries back in 2000, like last year, versus now. Are you seeing kind of an increase of prices due to inflation, or what are you seeing like year to year? You're buying the same items. How much are you going to spend on each trip? Just as kind of a ballpark estimate.
I do feel like I used to be able to have some trips where I was in like the $200 to $300 range, and now I'm almost always over $300. So I would say it has just added up to just a bit more, especially with those. We always buy cheese, we always buy milk, yogurt, and butter. So those things alone have made it go up.
Gotcha. Okay, well that makes total sense then. And I definitely feel very privileged because I spent like just over $300 for the first time, but that was like for 3 months by myself. Okay, some people are doing that on the regular. Okay.
No, if it was a 3-month stock up trip, we would be in the $1,000 to $1,500 range.
Okay.
And I will do that kind of trip where I stock up on flour and sugar and all of those things if I notice that we're getting low. Now that my $300 to $500 range, one thing that is important in Alaska is that you do have some food storage. So I never just, if something is on sale, I'm never just buying one. Like I bought 3 things of pasta sauce last week because it was on sale. I have what I call my extra pantry in the garage up on shelves, and we try and keep 3 months worth of food storage in there just in case of emergency, or if there is a huge inflation, we want to be able to go to that food storage instead of having to pay the higher prices at the store.
That makes total sense. All right, so I'm going to go and jump into the housing scene now. What we're seeing is, as far as housing, both on the price of buying and on the cost of renting for those of you considering renting as well. Before we do jump into that though, if you haven't done so already, do make sure you go check out Lauren's YouTube channel at This Alaska Life, and also check out my podcast at The Alaskan Journey. Those are both going to be in the description section down below. I do interview people who are currently living up here, so you get to hear from their perspective, and not just from mine or Lauren's as well. So you get to hear it from the people actually on the ground as well. So let me go and jump in and talk about what we're seeing as far as housing goes. All right, so what we're seeing as far as housing in Anchorage proper, for the entire municipality of Anchorage, the average sold price last year was about $396,000. Today, well, for the past year in 2021, it's actually sitting about $424,000. So the overall cost for housing did go up by about 6.9%, which is, if you look over the 10-year period, 10 years back, just looking at Anchorage, that's an aggressive appreciation for Anchorage. Usually we're sitting much closer to about 3-4% is really what we're seeing. That and the average days on market did actually see a pretty sizable decrease as well, which just means that houses are selling a lot faster, which is a big indicator you look at if you're in real estate, because it means that's how much in demand and how hot the market is. If it's 100 days on market, that's the average, then nobody's really buying. If it's what it is right now, which is 22, and that's a really quick, fast clip. And that's for the overall average. For the houses everybody wants, Usually it's 2, maybe 3 days and it's gone. So it does not take very long. So that's what we're seeing just across the entire board for Anchorage. Now, if we're looking at Anchorage going up for this past, up to this point in this year, the average sold price went up about $428,000. So even in that time period so far that we have up to this point in the year, we are seeing an increase, which is what we would expect because we see that aggressive appreciation and about a $4,000 increase across the board is about what we would expect. Now, one thing I did find pretty interesting is that across the board, the average sold price for Eagle River is about what it is in Anchorage, and that's considering that Anchorage does have the benefit of having the Girdwoods, the Hillside, the Rabbit Creeks, and all these different areas. Eagle River typically per capita, is going to have a higher market value in this area just because it's a very established and very familiar area. A lot of folks end up coming out here with the military just because it has a really predictable resale value.
All right, I have a question.
Okay.
People are selling their house because of this increase. Are they having a hard time finding a new house to move into?
So that is the question where if you can answer that dilemma and solve that problem for people, like you'd be a millionaire. Because you hear that all the time. We would sell, but we would be homeless like the very next day because we can't find anything. We love the attention. We love being able to get. We can't for a house right now. We don't want to be on the reverse side of that. So that's really a driving force behind the inventory being as low as it is right now, because everyone wants to take advantage of it. But really, it's the people who this is their secondary home or it's an investment property that are really able to take advantage of it. Now, there are ways around it. Like you could certainly go find some kind of a short-term rental or might have someone you can go live with for a little while. If you have that option, that certainly does work and you can take advantage of it. But for a lot of people, that may or may not work. And so that's definitely a contributing factor towards the inventory being so low. That and just the cost of materials has gone up. So new construction, they're working around the clock as best they can. But the cost of materials is kind of the big question mark in the building process. It really kind of deters some buyers from going that route, because what a buyer wants to do is lock down, this is how much the cost of materials is going to be, and the builder doesn't want that because cost of lumber might go up like 300% again like it did before. So yeah, that just kind of is what it is right now. I know a lot of people are just waiting for the market crash, and I am just not seeing that in the numbers. This is I know everyone likes looking to the past and just saying, well, there's a market crash then, so it's going to happen now. But the fundamentals in the market were substantially different. The increasing prices we're seeing right now are tied to economic factors with simple supply and demand. Yeah. So as long as the demand remains high, with the interest rates being low, then this is just going to continue to have a high demand, and we're going to see those prices going up. Now, moving forward, and this might be getting ahead of ourselves a little bit, moving forward, I do see the market slowing down. But when I say slowing down, it's not really saying prices are going to drop dramatically and it's time to buy. No, what I'm saying is the rate at which the prices are going up is going to slow down. So since they've been tracking real estate for, really forever, it's only gone back very temporarily twice in the entire time, and then it quickly rebounded from that. So not seeing this big market crash that I'm hearing a lot of people get themselves worked up about. It's just not in the numbers. But let's go and talk about what we're seeing on the rental side, because I know some of you are hearing those numbers, might get a little sticker shock, and you might be thinking about, hey, we're probably just going to be doing some rentals now because that's a lot safer. Well, let's talk about rentals. Now, the information I'm going to be bringing to you or for the rental market is going to be for residential homes that I get from the MLS. Now, keep in mind, a lot of property owners might not use the MLS. They might just use Facebook Marketplace or these other sources to get their properties rented out. But it does at least give us a gauge here. So we did see about a 3% increase for the rental prices for Anchorage as a whole last year, up to about $1,654. Now, that's for a residential home, and that's for a lot of people that's doing pretty good. And across the board, though, this is kind of rare that we're seeing an increase for rental prices in the area. A big contributor to that is obviously the cost of housing is going up, the cost of these homes are going up, which does mean that the assessed values, how much people get taxed on those homes, is going up, which means you as the renter, your rents are going to be going up as well. So whether you're buying or you're just renting, you're still going to be paying something towards the rising cost of homes in the area. So that's what we're seeing for Anchorage as a whole, 1654. That's the highest it's been since really 2016. We're all the way up to about 1822 back in 2015. So if you think this is rough, think about 2015 when the wages weren't as high. So looking at so far this year, what we're seeing is, remember we said $1,654. So far this year to date, we're seeing the average is about 17. So we're still seeing kind of an increase for prices as far as the rentals here in Anchorage go. Now, looking specifically at Eagle River, this is a different story. Eagle River is an area that's very desirable. A lot of people do like moving here, even just renting it out, just because there's a lot of great stuff about it, and certainly go check that out yourself. I'm not going to be accused of steering, but last year, what we saw is the average cost of renting in Eagle River went up to $1,902, which that is exactly about what I would expect. We have a lot of military folks here. They'll live here, they'll move somewhere else, and then they're just going to rent out to other military folks. So it's going to be entire houses. And that is exactly what I would expect. And it was about 3.37% increase compared to the year before. Now, last but not least, looking at what we're seeing as far as the year to date for renting houses here in Eagle River, it went up to $2,000.84. So far this year, we've seen approximately about $150 per month if you're getting a lease on a house. So we are seeing, again, those costs are going up as people are getting the chances to renew their leases, usually around the beginning of the year or the first quarter. And prices of taxes are going up, and so you're going to see the price of our rentals go up as well. So that's kind of a snapshot for what we're seeing as far as the residential market. The big takeaway is going to be prices are going to continue to be high. They're going to continue to go up. And I know a lot of people will get sticker shock. Me personally, I'm breaking my neck right now trying to get out there to buy something as quick as I can, because I'm not anticipating a market crash, and likely today's premium is going to be tomorrow's discount, is realistically what we're seeing. So jumping in as quick as we can. If you're renting, you're still going to be paying the cost of rising real estate in the area. I just went through a lot of numbers. Any questions, concerns, objections?
I would just say that from what we've talked about, cost of living is high in Alaska, but what you pay for, what you get in return is an amazing place to live. And so it makes it worth it. To experience living in Alaska is worth paying the higher prices. And as long as you budget and make sure that you have your numbers, you can do it. It works out.
Right. Another thing I would encourage you to do, go check out and see what the prices have been doing in your area right now. Because I was actually looking at our numbers. They're actually fairly conservative compared to other parts of the country. And I've talked with a lot of folks from California, Colorado, over on the East Coast as well. I'm telling them our numbers, and they're like, man, that is like the cheapest house I've ever seen. So
it's all perspective, right?
It's all perspective. So,
and I don't feel like in Alaska we are seeing, at least the food area, the big jumps that other places, because they're used to having really low prices. We're used to high prices as it is. So we're not seeing quite as big of a jump as I feel like my viewers are that are in the lower 48. They're like being shocked by the jump of prices. And now I feel more people are saying, your prices look similar to mine, which before it's usually like, thank goodness I don't have to shop in Alaska. So maybe our prices aren't as bad in perspective now.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, actually, our gas prices haven't gone up as much as I thought they were going to either.
I thought for sure they'd get above 5.
Yeah, I mean, as of the recording of this, I think they're right around like $4.50 something.
I did a video this week, and they $4.35 at Costco, all the way up to $4.85 at like the little local gas stations. So not too bad compared to my viewers in like Australia and the UK. They're paying paying over $10 a gallon. So I can't, that's a lot.
Good Lord.
Yeah.
What are you guys doing with your lives over there? Okay.
Not going anywhere.
Walking a lot. Okay.
Riding your bikes.
We get a lot of fit people. All right. Well, this is going to be your video hearing from the two people who are actually living up here in South Central Alaska, talking about how inflation is or isn't impacting the area. We're seeing a little bit of an increase. Right this minute, we're not seeing like this big astronomical, increase that's just going to make it unlivable up here. Ultimately, people come up here for the lifestyle though, and not because this is the cheapest place to live in the country. So yeah, if you do have any questions, do feel free to reach out to us. Again, check out Warren's YouTube channel at This Alaska Life. And if you have any questions, do make sure you leave them in the comments section down below, and happy to answer those as best we can. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.